Welcome back to Sunny Cove, where we are playing on Admiral difficulty on the hardest Armageddon map location, and we're seeing just how long we can survive. So today, what I would like to focus on is a few things actually. So we started last time working on getting the iron production up and running, and you can see some of the pieces are starting to be produced, but there's still a few bits that are on pause, trying to get one line, one kind of production line of iron running that will help us produce more construction materials. So that's number one. Number two is diesel production. So don't have diesel currently. And if you recall in the last video, I was mentioning how I think it's going to be a struggle to get the diesel over to where we are going to produce it, which I'll come into a bit more detail, but it's likely going to be on the top of this hill here. And I was kind of reminded by a comment on the last video that I could just use Unity in order to help build the oil setup, or at least the pumps and the pipe that will be quite far away over in the top corner over here and inaccessible to trucks. So that's the plan. We'll use Unity to get that finished off, and therefore we don't need to get our trucks there. And then thirdly, there's a couple of different like stockpile products, bricks production, population growth, a few of these objectives that we could probably complete to get some nice free resources for doing things that we would likely do anyway. So we'll check in on our material production. There's kind of a few issues we have. We just need a lot more construction parts than we currently produce. And in looking here, the struggle we've got currently is bricks. And the bricks are struggling because of the water. And the water's struggling because we don't have the rainwater harvester, because we need construction materials. So let's try and stop that infinite loop of issues. So we can't buy construction materials, but instead what we can do is loan. But I don't think it's possible for us to loan anymore, if I'm honest. Yeah, so the maximum we can actually loan is 10, which is not going to make any difference currently. So it's probably best instead that we go and buy some bricks. So we do have quite a bit of wood. And in fact, I don't mind burning through the wood. Struggle there. Don't mind burning through the wood supplies that we have, because I do want to clear out quite a bit of this space here. We're quite limited in where we can build. And I don't want to get too much into large amounts of... Not sure why the trees... Oh, it's because we have two tree harvesters. Do that there. There we go. Much better. I can probably up this fully. Slightly distracted then. Yeah, so if I burn through the trees, not too worried, because we've got very little buildable locations. So do that. That's perfectly fine. And if we just look at, you've got the bricks running now, producing those construction materials. We do need to pay that debt. We've got a couple of months. So not too long. We just buy a few more bricks. That should be sufficient to get going. Oh, we've got one line here. So in fact, I will get this demolished. So we'll pick up some construction materials there. We can then move it to various other parts. And then to really finish this off, we need construction parts too. Right. Now we just need it to rain, but we should at least start to produce. Oh, which it is now, so that's good. If we can just get this pipe sorted. I think I've probably got enough. In hindsight, I probably should have just built this further away. But I was slightly concerned about how much space there is and kind of forgot I probably could make more space with terraforming, excavating out some of this cliff or getting rid of some of the trees, etc. Oh, and we managed to do brick production, so it's 40 vehicle parts, 80 bricks. It's quite nice. Which we'll actually get a couple of trucks for now. I'm going to struggle with rubber, but we're going to sort that out in just a second. Again, not going to be able to do this just yet, but we will eventually build this iron storage. Anyway, so if well, I was going to say leave this to run, but we've pretty much built what we can do for this. What we are going to struggle with, just changing some of these, is in fact these construction materials too, which I think, oh yeah, so I am producing them exceptionally slowly, but we are getting it there. Seeing this was struggling because of the mechanical parts. Perhaps we'll just produce that one. So the whole point of trying to survive is that there is there's many things that can go wrong within captive industry. So I think next step is let's work on diesel. And let's see what we can maybe trade some of our wood in for. Not great. It's maybe just worth picking up some bricks. And we've got a fair few trucks running back and forth. But whilst we're doing that, let's have a look at the route we can take. So oil we're looking for is down here. So that's where we're going to have our pumps. We've got this limestone all along this left-hand edge. So it would probably be best to try and get the pipe, if it's possible, slightly lower down this edge, because we're going to dig out a fair bit of this limestone. It's probably going to be something that we're going to have to move later, but we can't afford to wait too long before we get producing our first set of diesel. So let's start with the pipe then. In fact, let's go to crude oil. Two pumps there. And then we're going to have to slowly snake our way around. Now, it's definitely not going to be the most efficient route we could possibly take. But we are fairly desperate for some diesel. And we want to try to minimize when we might have to rebuild this pipe by avoiding some of the limestone rather. That's a long way to go still. So I think that is going to cost a lot of construction materials. Our Unity is in a decent position at the minute, so probably shouldn't be too expensive. To get this completed. Right, now in fact I'm going to come up slightly, because at this point we're potentially getting in the way of the front of the mine. I'm tempted to come down here, because we will at some point have a bridge to go over there. I'm maybe not worried about actually going too further forward, because you see the land is uneven. Oh, well, we're running out of diesel. Perhaps should have noticed that. We have lots of coal. That perhaps emphasizes why we are in a rush to get this done. So 324 construction parts of the 0 or 12 we currently have. We no longer have a loan, so that's good. Go back here. So they could give us 100. It's only a small dent. Oh, we're running out of dirt now. Too much coal. There we go. The issue with part building all of this stuff is we've got set up so it will be automatic, and that would typically then default it to auto, and it will select the option to not have trucks manually move stuff, and then the process gets stuck. And in the meantime, we've run out of fuel. We do have some now, so let me grab some more fuel. Diesel rather. But it is our main source of electricity. I'm going to turn this off for now. Where are we? If we start, annoyingly it's right in the way. That's going to hold crude oil. We'll attempt to keep it full, so probably in the future we'll maybe try and push this back, flatten this out slightly, but we really don't have the resources and the time to be putting a lot of effort, which actually I don't really have the time to waste by talking at full speed either. We don't really have a lot of time and the resources to flatten this out currently, but we will. I'm thinking this is somewhat of a nice slope down towards the sea, so we could perhaps get some cargo ships sorted in the future, and they could bring oil from the offshore oil rigs. But for now, this is where we're starting. It should at least last us for the early game, having this set up here. So put it back to fast, because I do need a lot of those construction materials. And we need a basic distiller. So not a lot we can do other than just run crude oil and coal through it here. We'll just start with one setup. We'll run that down through there. We're actually going to pick up. Tempted whether we we'll set it up for the future. There we go. Because there'll be multiple parts that come off of this load of coal. I can set that to keep it full. In fact, if I just lower this import priority, it means the priority of this one will be greater currently. Still running low on petrol. Power, rather. Right, we might have to have an emergency step in, being hurry up and produce mechanical parts. It's a fine balance between all the things you need to be doing in captain of industry, and currently they are not very well balanced at all. But somewhat expected given the difficulty that we're playing through on. So I think with the amount of time this is going to take to get some construction materials going, I'll just skip ahead every now and then and just show some of the more interesting parts, and not the bits where we're waiting for several hundred construction materials. So far, we're not doing very well in terms of collecting these construction pipes. Anyway, so move on, and we'll continue with this. So it's only a one-step process on the early stages when you're producing diesel, so it's not very efficient, but it will give us diesel straight away from crude oil, coal. We do need an exhaust, and we do need to get rid of the wastewater. The exhaust, nice and easy. You just throw that straight into a stack. The liquid dump, not so much, and especially since we're so high up, we may well struggle to find somewhere to place it that isn't too far away. Because up here, because it's not quite deep enough, it's going to struggle to ever get into the ocean. So let's skip through to completion, and we are connected. So a couple of these things, well, like that liquid dump, actually they probably do have the ability to get there. So that's fine. That will probably build by itself. But a couple of other items, and we've got no research. A couple of other items we might have to manually use utility in order to build. So ramp for vehicles. We've already built some of them, so that's fine. I suppose in theory we could do the same thing with a groundwater pump in terms of using a very long pipe, but using Unity to build. We will use the irrigated farms, and we're getting close to some of the custom services that was part of update 2. It's not had a chance to use this yet, and at the minute I would just like to have a logistic system that functions, and we are not at that point, so focus on that. Run out of diesel again. As I said last time, still lots of manual prodding to get this to work. That hopefully will fix. We're just stuck on coal at the minute. I think it's just we just don't have enough vehicles coming out to pull. The thing, because you can see our trucks are very busy. A couple of more trucks down. One thing that he did need to continue with this is producing some rubber. Spinning this around, trying to get it as efficiently as possible. And we can hook a few items up. So first, it's really worth us connecting a pipe there. Now, again, when we run through and kind of make changes, well, the intention is we're just trying to get this up and running. We can make it a bit more efficient, less all on top of each other. But for now, we just have an issue with getting things going. So as long as everything's automated, I'm fairly happy. So diesel will come in there, got the wastewater coming out, and we just need some place to store all our rubber. That'll be rubber, and it will fill up automatically. I want to just empty it to wherever else we may suggest they take it. We're going to have diesel. We did buy a little bit, but not enough to keep us going very long. Diesel is getting rather expensive coal-wise, so it's not a disaster, given that what's filling up our coal, or our ore sorting plant, is all of the coal. You see they rush to fill it back up again. So looks like maintenance is doing a bit better, which is a good sign. Just seeing if we were slowly, yeah, I suppose we have actually slowly started to do some of these construction 2 parts. Okay. I feel like we're getting to a point where it's going to be a little bit slow until we have some construction parts. So if we temporarily pause there, I'll keep this running, keep the economy alive, and when we'll be back, hopefully we'll have some new buildings constructed and the diesel will be flowing. Welcome back, and we are finally at the point where we can finish this pipeline and let the diesel flow. So just quick completed that last few bits. So 324 construction materials overall, and I think if we slowly wait for the diesel to start coming through. In fact, I'll just boost both of these. So there'll be a slight bit of wastage in terms of that boost because the throughput will be maxed out, but there is a lot of fuel that needs to flow through that pipe before it eventually comes out at the end, but we're there practically. So notice this pipeline here that feeds to the waste. We have temporarily paused that. We're going to come back and finish that off later, but technically didn't need it to get the process going. We can just manually transport the wastewater from the basic distiller, from the rubber maker via truck down to the dump. So we'll be using that to make sure that was on. May do that manually. In terms of the iron production, we've still got a couple of bits of construction material 2 items that need to be worked through. Actually flip these around. Obviously we were just heavily waiting for construction material 1, so getting diesel going before waiting for anything else. So step 1 was working on this. I think we're pretty much finished on there, subject to just finishing off a few of the conveyors. And step 2 is to get diesel running, and it will be running, not quite yet, but So slowly down the pipe. We're somewhere around here now. So that's almost complete, and will be in a little while. Although I've just seen the pop up in the corner. So for now, I'm going to have to sell a bit more coal in order to get that diesel into our trucks to continue. That's step 2. Then step 3, we said about completing a couple of these items. So it was a stockpile 1, and we are almost in a position to complete the diesel production one. I think the only thing we need to do for population growth is just build housing. We should really get the captain's office out at some point as well. Oh yeah, other things. Well, noticing I did just add a fuel station here. See, the excavators and the tree harvesters really benefit from that, because at the minute the tree harvester up here, or my iron excavator up here, has to travel all the way down to my trading dock in order to pick up the fuel that it needs. Whereas once we get the fuel station running, we can then let the trucks assigned to it fill up our excavators, tree harvesters, so they can work around the clock. So, just seeing if we're actually getting going with, there we are, yeah. Very, very slowly producing construction parts 2. And it's going to take a while over there. So I think we'll maybe just hold off slightly and let the crude oil flow, and then we can mark this one down as complete. So we're pretty much there. So in terms of next time then, it's a struggle to actually find what to focus on, because there are so many things that are currently going wrong. We could really do with copper, and obviously you can see there's the tutorial here. Now copper is, where is this one? This section here. So we've already got the mine control tower there. We can also work on the limestone if we want to set up something more sustainable than our dirt made bricks. And then there's definitely some, maybe next time, maybe for a couple in the future, but just like a bit more of an efficient way around here, we could do with getting some construction parts 2, and definitely doing some upgrades to various. Basically, to be honest, the whole process needs to be updated, both moving to assembly 2s and just a a conveyor automated process to move the raw materials in, because at the minute we are extremely busy and they're quite slow in how they're moving. Should have had that on triple speed. We could have gone a bit faster with this. Oh, we are almost at the end now, so let's see this flow through and we can make our get diesel production ticked off. And we are there. So 50 construction parts, 60 bricks. That's actually pretty handy for what we need. In this one we just need to disable truck import from the new diesel storage. Okay, well, that was a nice little bonus there. So we definitely ticked off step 3 that I mentioned of completing a few more objectives. So vehicle parts, that is 80 copper and 40 construction parts. And then stockpile is 60 diesel, 60 cement. And there we are. So see, diesel is flowing nicely. One less thing, well, one thing we can worry less about. We still have to keep an eye on it for now, but I think we'll call it there.